I should probably do the same.
Yeah, you got way more followers than me.
Let's see. We are.
Get out of there. Share. There we go.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Chip.
Yes. Chip back in the
How
house.
long has it been?
I don't know.
Golly.
At least about half a year, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. Episode number like 7 or something. Maybe?
Yeah.
What are we up to now? What you up to now over here? 35?
27.
27?
27,
Wow.
dude. It's
Nice.
crazy.
Killing it, man.
Come a long way. Yeah, fun fact. Me and Chip started this, what,
Yeah.
8 months ago in my bedroom?
Yeah, pretty much.
My
yeah.
stinky bedroom? Dude,
Yeah.
I watched one of those episodes the other night. It was not good.
Yeah, we pretty. The first episode was we finally figured out the audio, and we just started drinking and just started streaming on Sunday night.
That's how it always happens.
Yeah.
It was a disaster, too. We had so many problems. Like, everything,
Yeah.
stuff just wouldn't work. And I don't understand.
That's how it always happens.
Yeah.
So usually you just hit go and see what happens.
Yeah.
Cameron Alidor, thanks for coming.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, man. Stephen, thanks for filling in for Mitchell.
Thanks for having me back.
Mitchell had to do some kid stuff or whatever. You
That's
know?
okay. That's okay. But I'm glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Cameron, let's check out that snare drum. Let's get right to it, man.
Oh, okay.
Check
What
out
is
the
it?
goods.
This thing's on.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So.
Oh my God.
Look at
This
that beauty.
this is my baby. They asked me to bring this on. It's from D-Drum, and it's a brass prototype from what would be their Vintone series. And
I tell you what, here, hand it to me and I'll hold it nice
Yeah.
and tough.
thank you.
Nice.
It'll resonate. hello. But yeah. What's so cool about this drum? Actually, a lot of things cool about it. Number one, it's a one of one. It's a literal prototype that I won from the company. It was back in like 2012 or 2013 that they had a Facebook sharing contest. And at the time, I only had one other D-drum snare, but the contest was something along the lines of, check out the snare drum. You can win it. If you like our page, share this post and tell us why you think you should get it. I said something along the lines of, this would go great with, the snare the other snare that I had at the time. I posted a picture of it, and I want to say like a month later or so, I was contacted by who would be my rep eventually, which was Felix de Luna. And, he and I kept in contact for many, many years, because I won this in, 2012, 2013? I can't remember, honestly. But we kept in contact over the years. When I joined Wildfire, I eventually added this as my main gigging snare, and eventually added a full-on D-drum kit. And I eventually got the chance to meet him, face-to-face when I went to NAMM in 2017. So, freaking amazing
cool.
experience. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I've held on to the snare. He was happy to see that I had it. And I think it was May of 2017. He finally hit me up like, "Hey, you wanna pick up one of our limited edition kits? We'll make you an artist." And that was, from the rest is history. And I've had the snare for all these years, and I've been with D-Drum since 2017, and they've been absolutely great to me.
Wow. So you're
That's nice.
You're exclusively D-Drum now.
Yes. Well, yeah. Like when I do small local gigs, with hardware and such, I mix it up a little bit because what I have is a little lighter and all that, and they're pretty lenient about that.
Yeah.
But with the videos I do, all the stuff that you can actually see, like stands, hi-hat stand, all that stuff as well, and the kits and the snares, it's all D-Drum.
Yeah.
For all the metalheads out there, I don't use their triggers yet. I'm looking into the point in which I do something heavy enough to justify using it. So, because I'm not like anti-trigger or anything, I just haven't had the need to jump into that yet. But,
Yeah.
So yeah, and it honestly, like, it really didn't hit me until I think it was 2018, the last show that Crest Live did before they had to shut down,
Yeah.
when they had Hell Yeah there, and Vinnie Paul played there, and then I think how soon was it later that he passed away? But
Not long.
But he was one of their big artists. I guess
Yeah.
you can call him like a legacy artist. So it was kind of cool getting to meet him and and be like, yeah, fucking Vinnie Paul, man.
Legend.
Yeah.
So
Absolute legend. Jeez.
but
that's cool.
And kudos to you for having those AMXs in your
Absolutely.
studio. Those are I've met way too many people who have been like, the Dominions, they're badass kits, and they are, and they brought them back
Yes.
last year. So
I love that. I've had that kit for about what Chip, 12 years now, 12, 14 years maybe, and
That'd be my guess. Yeah.
I cannot find. It's a DW snare, but I cannot find a reason to get rid of that kit. I can't, because every time that bass drum is the best sounding bass drum I've ever heard in my life.
oh yeah, that's a D drum trademark. Is their like 20-inch deep kicks?
I love that.
So,
it
like-
sounds triggered when you're behind it because it pops, like it cuts through.
Yeah, and like every series, I think, except for the Max kit, has the option of a 20-inch kick. Like all the Dios kicks are 20s. There's one configuration of the Dominions now,
Yeah.
which are Burt shelled. They have a 20-inch kick available, but they're trying to be a little bit more competitive with other manufacturers. But they know that that's essentially what popularized them.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something. There's something about D-drum toms. There's something that's just about the sheer punch and the authority that they have to their shells.
I have another one too.
Oh yeah, you
it's
do.
a double bass kit. Yeah, I have another one and another high tom that I don't use.
The 8-inch, right?
Yeah.
Hot.
No, actually, they sent me 2 10-inch.
Oh,
So I just tuned one higher because it was too much trouble to send it back, and I didn't use it anyway. So I just tuned it. Now it's just in my closet, where it's been for 6 years. So if you know anybody that needs the 10-inch tom, orange tom,
there's probably like I'm part of the drummers group on Facebook, and there are people asking all the time about, do you have like a floor tom for the Dominion, or you have a spare Dios rack tom? Like we get that all the time.
Yeah.
So feel free to join on in.
I need to. Yeah, you're in all those drummer groups on Facebook, huh?
I try. Some of it can get a little taxing because there are some. I don't want to be too harsh, but there are some people that tend to get a little too overboard on the comment section. A little too.
You're not being too harsh. You're not.
Steven hates the comment section.
You are not being too harsh. Some of those groups are way overboard on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, some of it can get downright toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of them can be that way, and we get a lot of people that complain about it. But they're still good, if you take it with a grain of salt. I mean,
Right.
It's Facebook. It's like friggin' Pandora's box. It's a killer and a cure, regardless of how you see it. But
Now, every time you put out a video, do you post it to one of those groups or each one, or how does that work?
yes, I'll admit I do share it to a lot of the groups because it's all educational stuff. I
Yeah.
want to share it as much as possible in the hopes that it's going to reach somebody, that's going to inspire somebody. And Facebook allows that. And I kind of wish Instagram did, but it's whatever. It's Instagram. But a lot of them have been very receptive to it. There's a group called Metal Drummers Worldwide that you go to a group like that and you're thinking it's all like death metal grind kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they're actually a lot more receptive to like alt metal, new metal, progressive and gent,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And they've been really nice with it, even around my birthday, like I had only been like a member of the group for like maybe 2 months, and they were like, "Give a happy birthday shout out," and I'm like, "I don't know all of you, but thank you."
Yeah. All 52,000 of you. Yeah.
So, but some of it can be good. And to answer the question, yeah, I do share it to those groups. Like I said, I want to share it around because I'm not at the point to where I can like start charging people, when it comes to like lesson packs. That's a pretty steep wall to climb, but I want to climb it.
What do you mean? What do you mean lesson packs? Like a pack of videos or?
Videos, like just general instructions.
Yeah.
Because I've considered doing that, selling lesson packs on how to build like linear fills and all that. Not necessarily verbatim stuff that people can just copy and paste and rinse and repeat, but the idea is that they they see the concepts themselves and then build upon them and then pull them apart, rearrange them, because the whole thing behind like the Smang It drums, or the way that I teach things, is the concepts that I teach. I try to teach malleable concepts, meaning that you can pull them apart, pick them apart, rearrange them, displace them, or modulate them, and still create something interesting. You're not just regurgitating a lick,
which is the biggest problem with a lot of it right now. Is it's just copy paste, same lick, and a lot of them end up sounding exactly the same.
Exactly.
So that approach is, I can see the benefit to that. There was a guy, Jarrett, shared a little. You saw that?
I saw that, and I actually...
Dude, that was preaching. I mean, wow.
It's an interesting topic, because Nate from 8020 and I go back to NAMM 2017. We actually hooked up. I bought him a coffee. We hooked up. We jammed. I think it was at the Otery drum booth before the sound police came and shut us down. So, and the frustrating thing with it was that Hutch isn't wrong. He's actually really correct, and you are too. With the whole, create something on your own, find your own voice. It's something that I wholeheartedly endorse. I come from the school of thought that when you're starting out, it's almost Freudian in the fact that you're gonna emulate your idols.
Of course, yes, of course, that's natural.
I've lost, when the internet was a thing and I got more into drums, like with the Pearl Drummers Forum, it was hilarious seeing how many like Neil Peart and Travis Barker replica kits there were. Like, I'm just like, why are you? Is all you play 2112? Like, but. I totally get it. Like, the problems that came from it, like, I felt like, and he clarified later, he wasn't trying to hate on Nate, and that was generally the impression.
And he said it every 5 seconds or so. He was saying, I'm not attacking the guy that did the video. He's just laying out the point of learning vocabulary, and he kept saying that, which I think was the biggest takeaway from me. Yeah,
and I talked with him about it, because, like, I kind of took to it negatively, because, like, initially, because my thing was, well, the whole point of education is to teach these things, teach the concepts, teach the basis or the blueprint for how someone is supposed to take something and not regurgitate it, but take it and make it all their own, and then regurgitate it in the practice room, and then take the risk and put it out there with a band, So at first my thing was just like, what's the point of teachers if it's gonna be fine? Because find your own sound is like terrible advice to give to a beginner, but if you're experienced enough, then it's great advice, because by that time they already have the tools, they already have the foundation, they have all the things to do that. But and I talked about it with Nate, and he was just, I told him that Vinny Colaiuta even got in on it, and he was kind of shocked, but yeah, Nate, Nate's one of those guys that he takes everything with stride.
Well, you have to. In that, in the YouTube game especially, you've got to, that's all got to brush off your shoulder, because it can't stop you from what you're doing anyway, and it's going to keep coming, positive or negative. There's always going to be, like we said before we even started, the comment section. Like, it's just part of that game.
And there were I saw some of those comments, and I try not to get hung up on that, obviously. But I mean, there were people that are like, this is what happens when you try and teach this crap for a living, and they were going at Nate for what he does and for his job with the YouTube videos, and I'm just thinking, he's a teacher.
Yeah, you can, like Hutch said in the video, he's not talking directly to Nate, and nor should you take it as an attack on what Nate does. He was spelling out the bigger picture. So I can understand Hutch's position and would still defend Nate to anybody being like, no, this is not about Nate. This is about what Hutch was talking about, which really Nate's video or whatever was the only thing that spurred the conversation. It was not the focus of, that attack.
Yeah, and it was that second video that clarified. I was like, okay, Hutch is good people. I get where he's coming from, and Nate's always been good people. Nate's always had it. Nate's always come from a genuine, honest perspective.
Yes, and he makes great. His content is good content.
It's golden to me, especially if you're wanting to get further into jazz.
Yes.
So it's one of those things where I was quick to defend, because I'm not a good jazz drummer at all. Just putting that out there, but I love the genre, and I'm wanting to learn more of it. But he's one of those premier channels that I go to
Yeah.
when it comes to learning jazz repertoire. So hopefully that didn't kill like 50% of our fan base watching that. but yeah, it is a good perspective, you know, and that's going back with earlier with the whole Smang and Drums thing. I mean, that's the whole idea, is to you know, share concepts for how you can build these ideas and, you know, get the, you know, use your creative juices instead of just, you know, it's the equivalent of, you know, being shown how to draw something instead of tracing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's a lot of fun. It's you know, it's looks time consuming, but to me, it's just another opportunity to learn something. Even with every new lick, I learn something new either about the process or I learn something new about what I've put into it. So.
Yeah, I love the cleanliness of the videos with the sheet music. It makes it easy to understand, you know, like exactly because you can see drummers like doing complicated shit all day on YouTube videos. It's like you got to like either slow it down on your own or try to figure out exactly what they're doing. But I like how you got the sheet music up there. It seems kind of tedious. Yeah.
By the way, one of the questions I get asked, you know, what's the program I use to do the notation?
Yeah.
2 programs. First off, Mike Johnston's Groove Scribe on Mike'sLessons.com. And second of all, Microsoft Paint.
Microsoft Paint, huh?
Wow.
Like,
wasn't expecting that one.
Well, and Groove Scribe is a fantastic tool. It's Mike'sLessons.com/GScribe. And you can literally create anything from grooves to fills, you know, mixed meter, straightforward meter. It's got all the subdivisions you will need. The sound selection is based around Mike's, you know, sound setup. So you're not going to hear anything like, you know, the Andy Sneap library or anything like that, or Get Good Drums, but it's still, you know, really useful. But essentially, I plug everything in, print screen, go to Paint. And the thing is, like with Groove Scribe, it'll give you the option of counts or sticking, not both. So that's why I use Paint to go in there and put both on there. If you can't read the notation, which I recommend if you want to take it seriously, then you'll have both the notation and you'll have the sticking above that and the counts above that. And I do that with every single one of them. It's one of the more tedious things, but it's worth it because I want to make sure that, you know, you can connect the sheet music and the sticking with what I'm playing. You know, not everyone learns through one method. You know, I try not to do, I try to have as many options because one size fits all, you know, options, just, I don't think they exist.
No.
So, and even if you have one way of doing it, you kind of have to branch off, you know, into, you know, a little subset of ideas to make, you know, whatever you're teaching work.
Is that your main shtick lessons? Like you're not so much playing live. I know you're sitting in with a bunch of bands, but like, how do you balance that time?
So where to begin? I have a 9 to 5. And you know, it's a great job. And, you know, for all the musician guys out there that are trying to make it happen, you know, a little bit of an aside, if making it full time as a musician is hard right now, I know it's hard. It's okay. Try and go out and get a job. Go for it if you need to. But more to the point, I have a day job, and when I'm done with that, usually around 4:15-ish, I go and teach a student, and then I usually find the time to either make a video, depending on whether it's a lesson, just a fun clip or a collection of clips, or if it's a cover that I've been practicing, a cover or a remix, or a full-on lesson. So, and it usually depends on how long I've practiced it. If I practice it for a long period of time and it's not ready, then it gets prolonged. But if it's ready on that day, I'll video it, edit it, and it usually takes about 30 to 45 minutes. And then it's out by the next day.
Takes me about a week. It's a lot more efficient than it takes me about a week and like 59 takes because I screw something up. I'm like, nope, delete.
Oh man, by the time, like, I have so many rough starts. Like, that's why with the keyboard, I have my keyboard and then my iPad, which monitors the screen like right next to me. And usually I may press the space bar, hit the ride symbol wrong. Fuck, go back and do it again. Try it again, get up to about the end of the intro, wrong hit on the crashes, fuck, got to do it again. So that's probably why I run out of memory so fast on my laptop.
I wish I would have thought of that before I put all these monitors everywhere. I was like, hey, let me put like 78 monitors all around the room, so wherever I'm at. These are the things you learn after the fact.
Yeah.
But I do have an idea of how we're going to get 1 million views.
Ooh.
and put this drummer community. Me and Stephen have an idea.
Oh.
We're gonna get 40 drummers in a room, and we're gonna all play and trade off.
Dave Grohl that shit.
Yeah, you down?
I'm down.
We need every man we can get.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
I'm down for it.
We're gonna have either like one singular bass player, right, or one singular guitar player, whatever, and we're gonna play a jingle and we're gonna loop it, right? We're just gonna keep playing. It's gonna be live, and we're gonna go drummer to drummer to drummer to drummer with a camera, and everybody's gonna play a little 30-second to a minute piece, and it's gonna be glorious. This is my idea that I dreamed up at about 2 a.m. Steven's on board. He's like, "It was a great idea. We got to work out the details. We got to figure it out how it's not going to be
40 kits. That's going to be the.
I just said 40. It's probably not going to be that many. It's going to be more like what's a good number? 10?
I hadn't considered the logistics of that yet.
Yeah.
After you brought it up,
We need a room with a good acoustics.
You need a stadium.
Just line them up along your street. Just take up the length of the street and just
There you
close it
go.
off.
Just have the camera move down. Yeah, that'll work.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Do it like Hawaii 5-0 style, where everyone's like.
That's right.
See, we're making progress here. Look, you know how the camera gets on the rail? Let's put a camera on the rail or a skateboard or whatever. I don't know how it works. I'm not a video guy, and we'll just do it. You know?
Just put Mitchell on a bike and let him go all the way down the street.
Yeah. I don't think Mitchell can ride a bike. That's the problem with that. But do you just get like random calls from bands, or you know these guys that ask you to sit in? Because I saw you sat in with somebody recently.
Yeah, I've gotten random calls. I've gotten random messages.
Like, do you have to grind and learn all this stuff like right before? Or?
In between sets. So the last 2 shows I played, Friday was with a group called Brass Pony, which was me, Andrew Ayers on keys, and then Christian Hayden on bass. Great guys, great people. And for all the Mobile people, if Ayers rings a bell, then y'all probably know about the Ayers brothers or Stereo Dogs. Yeah, he's one of those. But last night I sat in with a group called Ella Salter and the Sunday Sinners. Thankfully, the church I played at tonight didn't hear about that. But yeah, they're a fun group of people. Ella's got one hell of a powerful voice. The entire group, I mean, they're great. They're great guys. They're all hella talented. But when it came to the set that they gave me, I can tell you right off the bat that I knew about 50% of the set list. Because the rest of it, like 50% of it was stuff that I've played before. It's about the 17th band that's playing Hurricane by Band of Heathens or Leave on Helm. So yeah, I went there. But the rest of it, you know, they were songs that I've heard by chance or off chance, you know, that I haven't like sat down and listened to earnestly.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Whiskey River by Willie Nelson. Like, you know, listening to this, I was like, I know Willie Nelson. I've heard the song, but I've never like listened to it. Or Mama Tried by Merle Haggard. I mean, that's one, you know, the country band I play with, Last Call Rodeo. They've played that one before, you know, a few years ago, but I've never like sat down with it and listened to it. And so I'm going back and listening to it, not for the parts, but for the structure, more or less. Because I mean, it's mostly, you know, southern rock and country. It's all very straightforward shit. Like, there's nothing to it.
Is that kind of like the line of what you want to do is cover stuff? Or are you just doing it because you're asked because of the money, or do you see? Well, I guess the question is, do you see yourself like in another original band and doing that campaign?
I have an original band in the works, but there's only so many details that I'm gonna put out for it because it's been in development. It's been in development for years, but it hit the ground running when the pandemic hit the ground running, so to speak. But as far as doing the cover bands, it's something that I encourage just because for me, I'm essentially being paid to practice. If I can't put any weekend time in to practice or to try any new ideas, try it with the cover bands, you know, and more often than not, you know, I've had more bands that have been more receptive to trying the risky ideas and having fun with it, you know. And I mean, hell, I made a joke about bringing out the double pedal, and I was Ella, you know, she was like, "Fuck, why don't you?" And I was like, I don't know if anyone wants to hear double pedal in the middle of Truth Hurts by Lizzo. You know?
Unless us three are there, we probably would.
But yeah, like I am being paid to practice, and the best part about it is I have a built-in audience. It may be an audience that doesn't give a fuck, but it's an audience nonetheless.
Right.
If I don't piss them off, then I'm doing the right thing, you know. But you know, I encourage it, especially with younger musicians, because it's one of the ways to build experience. Like you can, like you can try and get out there and build it with an original band, but you never really know until you actually go out there and cater to what people want. And there too, I mean, what a better way to try and, you know, take risks with what you're doing than to try and take what you're trying to create and put it into a musical situation. Because with an original band, you're given more freedom. Obviously, you know, it's all written around what you write and play. You know, but you know, try and fit some sort of linear fill or crazy fill into, like, you know, Everlong by the Foo Fighters, which I have and I still do, and I don't fucking care, you know. but yeah, I mean, it's good experience. It's paying, you know. If you market yourself right, then yeah, you could get out there and make some easy money with it, even if it's playing predictable stuff. I mean, it's a good I guess it's a good thing that, you know, we're not as far reaching yet with the podcast yet, so I can actually share this. But like, for example, you know, with the country band that I play with, you know, one of the games that we've played before is called Feebird, and what that is it's a game surrounding Leonard Skinner. Because how many musicians have you met during your time? How many musicians have you met during your time bitching about playing Leonard Skinner or anything Leonard Skinner? So the name of the game is anyone who wants to hear Leonard Skinner, they have to take the request and put it on the back of a 20, and that has worked plenty of times. And then this is the crazy one: if they want to hear Freebird, which is where the name comes from, it's $100, $100 in the tip jar. And the bigger shock, that works too. One of the times we played, or the country band we played at Bone and Barrel, we tried that, and the one guy that put a $100 bill in there to Freebird, like, after he put the 100 in, he kind of stumbled a little bit. He was schmammered, but he just kept on feeding the tip jar 20s and a 50 and more 20s.
Let him go.
So you know, and I mean, it's funny because I'm less averse to like Sweet Home Alabama or Freebird, like a lot of people are. Sweet Home Alabama is actually a great song to teach, regardless of instrument, you know, because it's so simple. But you know, it's you make a game out of it. You know, it's like taking the piss out of something that's usually, you know, perceived as bad, and making it into something good. You know, so yeah, I don't think I would want to do it full time. Obviously, you know, because I mean, there are only so many smoke-filled bars that you can play in before you ruin enough, you know, clothes, and you ruin enough cases and cars, and the list goes on.
Well, you're talking to the veteran right next to you.
So, I mean, and it's fun, obviously.
It is. It's fun. And I think I had the opposite come up, where I was lucky enough to play in 2 original bands first.
Yeah.
And because several people have always asked, like, but, you know, you got to do the first improv band and then Fort Bayou Slim, which you cut an album with. Why would you go be in a cover band? Like, it seems like you would do the opposite. Start in the cover band and work your way up to an original project. But you got to remember, that whole time I spent in the original projects, I would see guys in cover bands going, man, it looks like they're having such a good time. I want to do that. Yeah. So even though it's backwards, I'm still on that kick of, like, for me, it's fun because I never got to do that. Like, even though I got to do the original thing where, like you said, that's you, it's all written around you, but I was like, well, I never got to play Mustang Sally. As dumb as that sounds, I never got to play any of those standard tunes. So it is fun, but you're right. There is only so many times you can walk out going, God, I smell like an ashtray, or...
And it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And me and Chip started in a cover band. That was really hard. Like, starting out, like, we didn't know what we were getting into. Yeah. And we're like, 4 sets, no problem. We played for like hours at a time at my house. Boy, look, you get out at 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah,
and then he joined the All-Nighters, and then it's got to be exhausting. Like
Yeah.
I would go to the shows and I'm like, man, I'm kind of glad I'm not playing because I can leave and I don't have to deal with this gear. I don't have to deal with this bull crap.
Halfway into the 4-hour show, like I'm done. Like I can leave.
Yeah, that was hard. It was hard watching you play. I was like, dude.
Yeah, and I was over here nodding to everything that y'all were saying because I'd relate to all of that, and you as well. Like, and me and Phil, same boat where we played many years in original bands and then did the cover band thing, and I enjoyed the cover band thing in different ways.
Yeah, it's just different. It's just different.
A lot of people knock it, especially people that like to play original music and create art. Be an artist with it. Of course, but it's its own thing. It's entertainment. It's fun.
It's pure fun.
Like people, especially if you play at cool clubs that have great crowds that are like really, like up to the stage and dancing and stuff. It's really cool. But
I would go see him play it. They'd play at Glory Bound. That was like one of my favorites.
Which is a fun venue. I mean, that's just a fun place to play.
When it's packed out.
Yes.
And then Matt, I wish I had a picture of it I could pull up. He built. You should see the new one he built.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
He built a huge plywood shield around his pedal board because drunk white girls kept falling and spilling drinks on his board. He's got 98 pedals. He's got pedals forever, and he built this big slant with slides and then this plexiglass. It's incredible. Like he spent a long time. He had a plexiglass one first, and he's like, I don't want people seeing it. And it looks like so they don't step on it. And then they had to.
I've seen that happen like 3 times in one show.
And you were with him.
Spilled on his pedal board.
I have video, a bunch of video.
Happened dozens of times with him and Chase.
Drunk girls would get on there and start singing.
Oh yeah, that happens too.
And like the security would have their back turned or something, and it's like we want to be nice because the party's jumping, it's packed.
Yeah.
But then the girl's like spilling her drink and
God,
verbatim.
That third and fourth set, it starts getting wild.
Trying to sing that Journey song, she doesn't know the words to.
Yeah.
I've had something similar to that happen. With Last Call Rodeo, we played at the Floribama. I don't know if you're familiar with that band.
Oh yeah.
And it was years ago. But what happened? It was I think it was a birthday celebration, and I can't remember if we were in the middle of the second or the third set. But I remember the birthday girl and a bunch of her friends actually came on stage, and I think one of her friends actually came right up to my drum set as I'm playing.
Oh, no.
And I think we were playing Dixieland Delight, of all the songs. She just picks up one of my sticks and starts wailing on my main crash.
No, that's the nightmare right there.
And I'm looking at security like, the fuck are you doing? Get her away! And I'm looking over. My wife's in the audience. She's shooting me and her the nastiest look.
Yeah, they don't like that.
I was like, I don't blame you. Like, I don't know what else to do.
You can't stop. I mean,
I can't stop. I can't do anything. I'm at her, and I've had that happen. And then one of the other recent shows, we had one of the audience members come up on stage after we played a set. She whistled, into the mic. I'm not going to demonstrate that, but she did a loud, high pitched whistle, and Jason, the lead singer, still had his in-ears in.
Oh no!
And he's just. I look over and he's like, "Ow, my fucking ears!" And I was just like, "Oh my god, it was terrible. It was so terrible." And you get that more often than you realize.
Yeah, so, that's a true point right there.
So and
the show.
I mean, I some people may have saw it, but I mean, I took it to Facebook and I was like, "It's not a fucking karaoke bar. It's a live band." I took it off 5 minutes later because of language, not safe for work language. So, but I mean, that's literally the case. I mean, it's not a karaoke bar. If a band's got gear up there, it's not for other people to fuck around with unless we say so.
Yeah.
Amen
to that.
Yeah, we had a few situations at those shows, and you're right about the wife thing. There's nothing that makes somebody's wife more mad than to see another woman get up there and just
like throw her arm around.
Throw her arm around the dude, and you talk about some flames going through that girl's eyes.
Yeah, in Samantha's case, like she's super encouraging, with what I'm doing, with the whole Smang It drums in the studio and all that. But she knows for a fact that if someone breaks the gear, and it's not me because I mean it's a willing investment. She knows if someone breaks like a cymbal, that's like another $300 something. So I mean,
Yeah.
So the encouragement is awesome, but I also I don't blame her, through that entire situation. So
You've never had that happen though, right? Somebody breaks
oh
something.
no, thankfully no.
Good Lord.
Have you?
No,
Well,
but
actually, I take that back. I got your interest now, but not in this case. But when I was with Wildfire and we toured with Fuel, Shannon, their drummer, he destroyed one of my Meinls, and they wouldn't replace it.
that does not shock me.
Yeah,
As nice as that guy may be, I could see technically a higher level drummer as far as like popularity or bigness coming in and being like, oh, I mean, what's the big deal? I just ruined the cymbal. And you're going like, no, that comes out of my pocket. Like, you may have an endorsement and can call Zildjian or somebody and they'll ship you out a new cymbal. Guys like us don't have that option. And I don't think some people realize the average cymbal on the good level is starting out at $300.
Yeah. That would have been one of those, like, you're with Peisty, you owe me.
Yeah.
But
you can get stuff. I can't. I have to go buy that now.
Yeah, but we both played at Gulfport Music Fest and we reconciled and all that. But I mean, that was one of those times having to play one of the last shows with a mangled Byzance, crash. Every time I hit it, I'm just like, oh, it hurts. But I mean, that was still a fun as hell tour, by the way. So. But yeah, it has happened. He's been the only one that's happened with when it comes to other drummers.
Yeah.
So, thankfully, hopefully no knock on wood there.
Yeah, really.
You have to put a shield around it.
Build a shield.
Get a drum shield.
We said plexiglass shield, not wood.
Yeah. Just hide you. This would be a good opportunity to get you to take us through a lesson, sir.
Ooh,
are you good with that?
Time to go to class.
Absolutely. In mind? And look, you first of all, you got some $1 million musicians in the room, so get as complicated as you want. My audience is very educated on the drums. Okay, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it.
There's
a couple that won't, but I'll explain it to them. They're gonna get it.
They're educated. They're the best people. Let me tell you.
They are.
But
Top of the line.
So I guess before I begin, what would you like to learn?
Oh man, can you
turn it back at you?
Can you honestly you give me something like just like a wild like polyrhythm, like an odd time beat? Just walk us through how you count that.
Okay. Considering wildly enough, polyrhythms are one of my weak areas, but I did do something that involved a polyrhythm fairly recently. If y'all saw that Tears for Fears challenge.
Yes. That was crazy cool.
So let me jump behind the kit and hopefully not fuck this up.
And go ahead. We'll just watch that headphone cable. It should reach all the way back there. You're one of the few guys I would ask that request of, because there's so many guys that I would ask that, and they would freeze up and be like, do what?
Drop a bomb on them, like,
what kind of language is that?
All right, there's a camera right there. It says Krohn on it.
Let me see what this. Oh, look at this! Look at this cam right there. Hell yeah, dude.
Google Krohn. I'm sure that's been said how many times?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, if you want to saddle up, Chip. Adjust the camera. Cool. Yeah, there we go. Maybe raise it up. Get more of an overhead shot to get. There you go. All right, we're cooking now. Oh, I got you. Don't worry about it. I'll fix it. Hang on.
I'm kind of frozen.
Nah, we're
kind of contemplating it.
We're professionals over here. We're back. See how fast I fix that, Chip?
Nice. That was money right there.
Absolutely. $1 million engineers in the room. There you go. That should be good. There you go. Right there. That's perfect.
All right. So this thing's on.
Absolutely.
Hey, people.
Good to go.
Yeah. So, if you haven't seen it, if you go to my Facebook.com/SmangItDrums or Instagram.com/SmangItDrums, or even on the Smang It Drums YouTube channel, I've put this video up there. It was part of this interesting yet kind of controversial challenge called the Tears for Fears Challenge. And before I explain this, I'm going to do this just so we're on the same page. There's the original groove. I know how to play it. So that was one of the big controversial points. Like, it's not like the original. We know it's not. So it's not the point. So what the challenge was to take the original song and use metric modulation to change up the feel of the groove of the song. So, take it from me when I say that the original was challenging enough, especially if you have to develop the ear for it. But metric modulation is pretty challenging in of itself if you don't understand it. So what's going on here is, instead of the original groove, which of course 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, or you can count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or as people say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12, 8. You can do 6, 8, 12, 8, or you can just count it in 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. So what's happening there is, instead of having 3 groups of 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, you could take the same idea with 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a. However you add it up with the original, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, that's 4 groups of 3, 12. You rearrange it, 3 groups of 4, you get 12. So 1 and a 1 and a see if I can try and do this. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and a. So that's the basic idea of it. So what did I do differently? The first part of it, I put 2 polyrhythms into it, and I chose polyrhythms to try and match up with certain aspects of the song. So, as I have, the modulated groove, you're hearing. There's your basis. The snare's still on 2 and 4, if you want to count it as that. So, and I'm playing my right hand on the stack to start with, but the polyrhythm that I have going on underneath is in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then once you get to that point, I start over with 4 more strokes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, but instead of just doing, instead of doing that, I'm adding an extra note in there to kind of turn it into a herita. For all you Meshuggah fans, you probably know what that is. It's the second eighth of bleed. So add the snare on the back of that. So let me slow that down, break it down for y'all. One. So, and then of course I'm adding the right hand, which I don't have a stack here. I guess I'll just use I'll use that. That kind of sounds like a stack. Rim. So. I'll try it with Crash, but up to speed. Let's see. So what am I matching up with there? The big synth riff. The da ba, because you hear 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. That's what's matching with that. Now, this is the part that's gonna fuck me up. So y'all be patient with me. I'm gonna try and get this right. When the verse kicks in with the vocals, I add the right hand on 3. So, and what's happening there, you have that on the feet. Yeah. See, it's been a bit since I did this. It took like you said, like 5,700 takes to get it right.
Yeah.
So, and that's supposed to match up with the vocal part. Ba, ba, welcome to your life. Like that right there, that's in 3. So that's what it's supposed to match up to. I'm going to try and play this as best as I can. You'll see like my super serious face. So see if I can nail this. So thoughts and prayers. Yeah, you can see.
Wow,
yeah, it's hard. It's been a while. Once I did that one take, that was enough.
That hurt my brain just watching.
So, but let me see if I can pull it off at least like 3 times.
yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what a polyrhythm is. In this case, you've got 3 different rhythms going on at once. You have the snare on 2, 4, and 6, I guess if you want to call it that. You've got the bass drum in groups of 5, and then the right hand in groups of 3. So that's what a polyrhythm is, if you're not familiar with it. And again, it was meant to match up with parts within the Tears for Fears challenge, because just about everyone else was doing some variation on da, 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 which is nothing wrong with that, but after like the 20th time of hearing it, it was just like, okay, I got to change it up. So
No, you were right, because that was the one thing I did notice. I mean, big drummers on Instagram, that would be like they were all doing that same pattern you just played.
Yeah.
That main phrasing. And granted, they're doing cool fills and stuff like that. But other than that, yours is the first one I've seen that tried to get away from that same. Because I mentioned to Jared, I was like, well, what's the point of the Tears for Fears challenge if every drummer is doing the same, playing pretty much the same pattern?
Yeah.
So I really like what the kind of take that you had on that.
Thank you. And I didn't mention this on Facebook, but a few people saw it, and on Instagram, but I had gotten the notification at the time that of all the people to follow me after all that happened, Aaron fucking Spears followed me.
Oh wow!
And if you're not familiar with who he is, I mean, go and look him up. He's not only a gospel legend, but he's well regarded in the pop music field. He's played with like Jay-Z, Katy Perry, and a bunch of others. Like he's insane. He's super humble. He's such a monster drummer. He makes Sonar drums sound amazing. He tagged me in it too. Like one of my friends got my attention. I wasn't paying attention at all, but like he had tagged me in it because Sonar posted it too, and I was just like, does that mean I made it?
Yes.
But yeah, that was the moment where I was just like, okay, let's see where it can go from here, and yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. You know, my one little weeaboo screamer moment when that happened, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but any other lesson requests that you had, linear stuff or anything?
What do you got, Stephen? Like, any requests?
Well, I see him tuning up. This is what I want to hear. I want to hear y'all groove.
You got one of the best bass groove players that this 5-mile radius has to offer.
Yeah.
Thanks for that setup, Phil.
yeah, you're welcome. It's not a problem at all.
This is going to be the best thing you've ever heard out there.
All the pressure.
Even though
all the pressure.
Even though we just met today and have no idea what we're about to play, but this will be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, man. If you want, you can start it, and I'll follow you, man.
Check that bass real quick, Chip. I gotta gain you out again.
Well,
just.
Yep. Give me a beat. I'll play with you.
You're passing it back to me.
Aaron Spears,
if you
I hope
don't
you're
mind.
watching.
Yeah, play real quick, Chip. Let me get you right. Oh man, that feels warm. I like it.
All the pressures. Everyone's watching. All right. Just one thing real quick. Get this a little higher. There we go. There we go. Or not. That's a little too much rib. Let's see.
I'm gonna go throw my drums in the river.
I just blacked out for a minute there. And
I know what the
Did we
hell I
play?
did again.
yeah.
You want to pick one?
I'm completely cold. I don't know.
it's like a math problem.
That P bass sounds so good though.
Yeah, it does.
That's just dry in, huh? The
Yeah.
old-
No, it
old
sounds.
P-bass
You
sound.
can't. A precision always sounds good, but it does. It really does sound good.
It does.
Oh yeah, it's just compression and
Take the
I don't
two
even have a
seats.
noise suppressor on, so I don't guess I need it. But yeah, I don't know, we'll just have fun. I just,
Yeah, you want to do? Let's do this. Let's do one more little jam, and we'll let Chip pick a. I tell you what, Chip, pick a polyrhythm.
I got plenty of those.
And then we'll get Stephan back there, and we'll trade off some licks, and we'll
Jump straight into
Well-
the sugar.
ride into Valhalla together.
Jump straight into the. What's your feeling feel wise? Something a little bit more.
Yeah, anything funky? I got some funk.
Oh yeah. Good stuff, Chip. I feel like I'm on a beach ordering a martini.
Did I mention I am sleep deprived and hungover?
With pineapples on my shorts. Let's
throw that out there.
Let's get Stephan back there, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'll hop
well,
up
you're
there.
gonna do better than what I'm gonna do. I'm just happy I'm
still
not
had
getting
fun,
back
by the way, even though I'm kind of blanking out. I'm still having a blast.
Sounded good, man.
Oh yeah,
That's great.
I was trying to fit where I could put blast beats in there. I couldn't really think of anything without. Funk it up. Funk it up.
We can throw some distortion on here and do some metal too. That'd be some jam.
All right, this is great. I feel good about this. I don't know about you guys, but I feel good about this. Where you going, Chip? The hell are you going? Oh, bring your headphones. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, if y'all just want to, go back and forth a little bit, just kind of riff off of each other, whatever you want to do.
I'm easy, man.
Yeah, easy stuff.
I guess.
My audience gets it.
Yeah.
You lead the way. This is your episode.
Let's see. We want to do like a trade and fours thing, or we want to share some ideas. How would you like to do it, man?
This is your episode. You tell me. I've already had my little stint here, so this is more about what you would like.
Yeah,
to
just
do.
start off with a simple groove and then go from there and trade off and get more complicated as it goes, and may the best man win. Oh man. So good.
Oh man.
I got your back on.
Oh man, I've had that happen. I had that happen at a festival where my pedal went like slid all.
No. It's part of the game. Part of the game.
There's one that I want to do, but the floor time's like way over here, and like
I'm so out of my element when it comes to electronic drums. It's not.
I'm so happy you got back there, Stephen, and not me.
I cannot. Well, number one, I cannot hang with some of the great licks you were pulling out there. Anyway, it sounded really, really, really good.
It was like I'm. Here's the mic.
Ditto to that.
Here's my. I'm over here like trying to think. I've got to keep it classy. Like that's the thing that I'm afraid of. Like, like especially playing like country gigs, because like it can get in your head where it's like, is anyone really gonna care like how crazy it is? Like they tend to like it simpler, you know.
Yeah.
But and what's the method they say? Was it keep it simple, stupid?
Yep.
Like and there is an art to that. There is an art to that. But there's a misconception to it, and there's an art to it. The misconception being that that's the limit, but the misconception or the art to it that depending on the music, if it fits, make it fit. So
no, that you're right. Now that I think about it, I can't remember who I was watching the other day play on YouTube, and he typically does more complicated linear fill style stuff like that. And then he was Timbo from Keno.
Yes.
What's his actual name? Tim, whatever his actual name is. Tim Baltus.
Yeah.
Was playing, and he's got some good chops. He's got some good licks. But then the title of the video I was watching was Sometimes It Is More Complicated to Play the Simple Stuff. And I think he was actually playing a Sheryl Crow song, If It Makes You Happy.
Yeah.
And which is like you just said, sometimes it is more complicated to do what the song requires than what you might want to do.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's a great balance between, obviously you can gracefully slick, those nice little licks in sometimes, but a lot of times you also have to just do, as opposed to a bar and a half fill that is really cool, but does it maybe not serve as well,
It's crazy because with what I teach with my students, like it's one of those things that I'm still trying to get as best as I can. But I try and push the principle of playing around the box, as opposed to playing too far inside or too far out. Because if something calls for like Billie Jean style, it's that's what it calls for. But I mean, if you're gonna play every single gig, like deer in headlights. I mean, that does get kind of boring after a while, Like I said, if a song calls for it, or if your director or head of the band calls for it, by all means. But if you're wanting to sharpen your skills, you want to go further than that. But at the same time, take Billie Jean and let's play outside the box for a second. And I'm probably gonna mess this up anyway. And whatever I'm doing right there, like, were you still feeling Billie Jean by that? I wasn't. Like, playing outside the box just means distracting from the music. That's when the music, there is no music essentially. It's just noise. Yeah. So playing around the box means finding that balance. Guys like older generational guys like Dennis Chambers, Vinnie Colaiuta, they kind of mastered that as the chameleons that they are, and with Dennis sort of being the progenitor of like paradiddling all over the kit. But modern guys, even modern gospel guys, like J. Rod Sullivan, Eric Moore, like all those guys, when Eric especially when he grooves, he can groove, but he throws in these little, and Teddy Campbell, another good example, like when he did Trust by who was that, George Clinton at Modern Drummer Festival. Yeah. And he held the groove, but he would throw in these little ornamentations. You can still feel that, right? Even right there.
Yeah, because the pulse is still there.
Like, and of course, there's a balance to that, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but, you can go a little overboard. But that's the idea is, keeping to the core elements of the song, what
And
you're
I like,
playing
there was
to.
something that Eric Moore actually talked about at one point where somebody had asked about his fill styles, and he was explaining how even in most cases, no matter how complicated the fill was or how distracting it may be, he still lands his snares on 2 and 4. No matter what gets filled in the gap to hold the pulse down, he will still fill in 2 and 4 on the snare.
Yeah.
And that always helps concrete the groove, no matter how, how complicated the fill might have gotten or how much out of the box he got. That was always there, holding 1.
Yeah, and that led to the bigger point, especially with Eric. Like, for the longest time, with those gospel drummers that can do that, I always figured, there has to be, I always figured that they never repeated the same fill over and over again. But they actually do repeat some patterns that they do, even if they move it around.
Yeah.
They repeat them. Eric Moore, and it's not a dig at him by any stretch of the means. It just shows you that's part of their drumming personality. Eric Moore, Sean Wright, Devin Taylor, what's another one of the crazy ones? There are way too many of them. Forrest Rice, Chris Paproda, all these crazy guys. Like, they have a lot of crazy guys. They have these few patterns or Ericisms or Forrestisms that you can tell that's going to help them get back on the downbeat or back in their pocket when they play them. And Eric's one of the more blatant examples, but he does it so tastefully. He does it so cleanly. And he doesn't play it the same way over and over again. Like, he'll play it on a different, like you said, he'll do it on 2 or 4. Some of them, like, you've probably heard him, adding, what's one of the things he does? Like those little snare rolls. He does those a lot. One of the other ones is a very common 4/2 fill, which is, snare, tom, hi-hat, kick. He'll use that one usually as a starting point because, most drummers that hear gospel drummers for the first time, their first thought is, where the fuck did that hi-hat come from? Because they're thinking, they must be doing this with a double pedal. Nope. So he does, that's one of his. Stuff like that, even if it's with a ghost note at the beginning, it's still, that's one of his big ones. I like that because how many times have you heard, the 4/2? Yeah. It's not a bad fill. It's just after I heard Mike Portnoy do it 30 times in one song, it gets kind of, and and yet, not to dig on him, it's just, it becomes a trope. Throw Joey Jordison in there while we're at it too. But I heard it a lot, and once I got into guys like Eric Moore, and then another one, Gergo Borlai out of Poland, he's one of those that does, he would do it halfway through the measure. Yeah. Stuff like that, he would do it like on count 3 or something like that. And it's like, okay, I hear you. So, and again, not to, I sound like Hutch when I'm saying this, not to bag on those other drummers, like they fit those contexts, especially, Dream Theater and Slipknot. But like, once you've listened to those bands enough and you want to move on, you want to figure out what's the next direction that you could take that. And, but we kind of digressed a lot, from there. But, back to the main point, like when it comes to keeping that groove, there's always a way to overdo it. And, and when people say that'll get you fired, that's about half true. I mean, depending on who you get hired with. But more often than not, people want a timekeeper. Yeah. So, it's always, all of those situations, they're always time dependent. When someone posts, don't take a $100 gig. Well, do you live in the South where that's common?
Yeah.
I mean, have you been through the pandemic where you can't play anymore and that's the only gig now is the $100 gig? The casino gigs are pretty much gone, so the higher paying stuff, you might get a $150, but the higher paying stuff is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
I got job security with a casino gig. COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, no one saw it coming, obviously, but I mean, it's for all those times, they're always going to be context dependent, much like music, much like what you put into it. But there's always a way to overdo it when it comes to playing too far outside the box, because and depending on the drummer, some of the more inside the box drummers. I mean, Steve Jordan, for example. How many times did people say that, like, you know, he usurped Steve Gadd as like the king of time when John Mayer became a thing? Yeah. Like, you know, and Gadd will always be the king of time to me, anyways. But you know, he was always one of those very simple, straightforward. You know, and of course, the godfather of simple time and creativity, freaking Ringo Starr. You know, there's always something to be said for that simplicity, but there's nothing wrong with pushing your boundaries. Like, yeah, do a crossword puzzle, but every now and then, you know, challenge yourself with some Sudoku or whatever the hell the kids are doing nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, you know, try to at least be broad as you can.
Instabook and their snapgrams and. But yeah, that's the idea. And all I will say this: the linear stuff, like, because I didn't grow up in that kind of atmosphere. You know, I didn't grow up in that kind of. I didn't grow up in a church or that kind of churchy environment. It took me longer to grasp.
I didn't even know about it until YouTube. Like, really had no grasp on what that was. The first time I heard gospel chops.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it was the exact same way with me. Like the very first drumming video. Well, first two drumming videos I saw. I mean, one was a guy named Ruben Gingrich, who's still going, by the way. This is back in 2007. And then the second one was Tony Royster Jr.'s.
That was the
solo.
first one for me. When I saw the first Tony Royster DVD come into Magnolia, I was like, "Whoa, what is that?"
Yeah, 9-year-old dedicating this long ass solo to Tony Williams, and you know he was Pearl and Zildjian at the time, and seeing him twirl his sticks, and I was just looking at that. I was like 17 at the time I saw that, and I was just like, I think I give up. I think.
Yeah.
No, it makes you want to push further.
So, but like, and there were a few other drummers. I think it came to a head. It came to a head with Eric Moore. It came to a head with Thomas Pridgen. It really came to a head with one of my absolute favorite humans when I saw his Vic Firth video back in 2011, and that was Davey Lych. He's one of those that I will not stop talking about in a positive light, because apparently going to bring up Nam a lot. I took a lesson with him back in 2017. And he's not only the best to go to for body mechanics when it comes to technique, but he's super personable, he's super humble, and he comes at it from a time-worn perspective. I mean, if you see that video of him just going absolutely fucking ape shit with the Mars Volta, you know, when he filled in with them, and you think, God, how could he be able to play for that long? That was at the very beginning of him taking his technique, the stuff he teaches, like, seriously. Yeah. You know, I can tell you, I would not be able to make it through that set if I played like him. He's insane. So, but
every drummer that's had to fill in with the Mars Volta is putting in serious work.
Yes, yeah. Speaking of Pridgen, and John Theodore. Yeah. But yeah, he's one of those, like, I've lost count of how many times or how many people have asked me when it comes to his lesson pack or going and taking a lesson. But it's an unequivocal yes. Like, hands down, take a lesson with the guy. You know, the pack is a little up there price-wise, but it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. It goes over everything that he and I worked on when we went through our private lesson. So, and he's a car guy, so obviously we get along really well. But yeah, Davey Lych, Eric Moore, Thomas Pridgen, and then it really came in with all the Facebook and Instagram drummers. Like, I came across, and I was I'm getting ahead of myself. Forrest Rice. if you're familiar with him, he's the drummer for a band called Covet. I got to know him around 2014, 2015. I was actually his guinea pig when he started doing virtual lessons online. I was the first one he taught via Skype. And what is he doing nowadays? He's playing with Covet. He's with Tama, Meinl, Evans, and Promark, I believe. It's either Promark or Meinl Stick and Brush. I can't remember. But he's one of those that really came into it with a lot of the he's actually been able to organize a lot of the linear stuff he does, because he's played in a lot of math rock bands, a lot of progressive jazz bands, and Covet contains a lot of that. Like, it's just very smooth guitar orchestrations and compositions, and he's just, you know, 1 minute he's just doing simple. He's always smiling when he does it, which I can't do.
Too much coordination, yeah.
Yeah, I looked like a possessed Jonah's brother. But you know, and then when he gets into it, it's so organized, and he repeats a lot of stuff. Like he does a lot of that where he milks the heck out of it, but because he's so clean, he makes it look ridiculously easy, and the smile does it too. But Forrest Rice, friggin' Chris Paprota, who's an insane multi-instrumentalist, also super nice guy. Andy Prado Jr., who is like Ronald Bruner Jr. Like literally, he's like Ronald Bruner Jr. 2.0. Like just, and I mean that in a good way because Ron's one of those one of a kind drummers. Mason Guidry, who is slapped on in the drumming community. I've got a list, by the way. But all of those guys kind of opened up more to getting more into linear drumming. And you know, if we get into some of the more celebrity names, I mean, Aaron Spears, fucking Chris Coleman. And he's one of those that I wouldn't even call a gospel drummer because I remember he did a whole clinic. He was like, gospel drumming's literally, you know, it's all patterns. Like literally just dead-eyed to the camera or dead-eyed to the audience. It's just patterns, bro. It's just patterns, guys. You know?
That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah, and wondering how many people in the background are just giving him the finger like, yeah, just patterns. But no, he's super nice. He's a monster. He knows how to work his way around time. I can't do that, but I can't even come close. Shit, but he's one of those. But people like to poo-poo on that stuff really easily, and it's just mostly out of not getting it.
Yeah, well, yeah. But there's so many routes to go. I'm not even a rock drummer. I'm way on the other side of things. You know, even not even approaching metal or anything even more aggressive than that. But there's no need to knock it just because that's not your thing. Yeah. You know, as where somebody that's in maybe the metal side couldn't understand New Orleans street beat. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, I get the same thing, you know, when people talk about AC/DC. You know, you all those few that are like, you know, saying that either Chris Slade or Phil Rudd are boring, or, you know, I forget how many Lars Ulrich jokes and memes have made it around the internet. Like, like with Lars, I mean, the jokes are funny because there is a little bit of truth to that, but at the same time, Lars kind of carries that band, not just as a drummer, but as a businessman.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I mean, my biggest response to that is you've listened to the Black Album. If you haven't listening to the Black Album is like the drumming equivalent of owning a Pearl export. You've owned one. You've owned one or played one at some point in time, just like you've listened to or owned a copy of the Black Album. You know, that album gets more shit than it should just because, they went alt-rock. So, it's good. It's a great record, you know? And I'll be on record. I'm going to get some thumbs down. I'll defend Load and Reload. I'll defend S&M. I won't defend Saint Anger, but I'll defend Load and Reload.
Yeah, you can't defend Saint Anger.
Yeah, with a better producer.
I know a couple guys that will fight me over saying that, but I mean, come on.
Bob Rock should have just given them 2 or 3 more takes, man. Yeah. And not use a friggin' Ludwig acrylic snare just sitting in the corner. Like, what the heck? Yeah. But I mean, back with the main point, like, Lars, I've always said that Lars is the best drummer Metallica ever had. Much like Ringo is the best drummer that the Beatles ever had. Because he was made for that band. He started it, you know, he built it from the ground up. And, you know, you can tell the Lars-isms when he speeds up with certain fills and whatnot. But, I mean, it's the 80s and the 90s, you know. So what? It's what made him who he was. And he never thrived on complexity. He thrived on groove. You know, with the students that I've taught Enter Sandman, it's one of the more fun songs that they want to play, you know, just because the tom part is maybe a little deceptive, but once they get into that groove, they have so much fun. So, I mean, it goes both ways. You'll have those that poo-poo all the complex stuff, and then you have all the connoisseurs who berate the simple stuff. And it's like, can't we just get along and appreciate some art, please?
That's right.
So I guess it makes for an interesting conversation, but you know that I'm sure that time could be better spent practicing anyways.
Yeah.
But
This is everything I wanted this podcast to be, by the way.
I'm probably gonna. How are we looking at with engagement? Who all has seen it so far?
10,000 people.
Oh.
No, we're on several different platforms, and after this, I'll upload it to all the audio platforms and make clips and do all that, so it'll all add up. Do you guys want to do one more jam?
I think you should come out here. You're the one that normally plays too.
Make me look dumb.
I was gonna suggest. Would you like to learn something pretty linear to take home with you?
What you got?
So I'll go ahead and go off like the first main things when it comes to listening to the gospel drummers, because or gospel or fusion or really anything. I mean, you know how to transcribe, right? Or you know how to write down, right, left, and all that. So the main thing when it comes to learning patterns like that, first off, you got to count. That's the big one. Like, I would think that, if you're a drummer, you should have some modicum of knowing how to count, in some way, shape, or form. In this case, I'm guessing you know how to subdivide as well, right? Okay, you're on the right path. And you're familiar with hand patterns. If I spout out paradiddle, flam, flamadiddle, single, double, yeah, you're on the right path as well. Because that's what a lot of that is it's based around counting, it's based around subdividing, especially subdividing, because that's where you're going to hear all those surprise hits on, like, accent cymbals or the hi-hat or, accents on the snare. So, and that's where the hand patterns come in. Like, I say there's a difference between hand patterns and then rudiments. There's an overlap, but with hand patterns, you're looking at stuff that's sort of informal compared to rudiments, which are very formal. There's a whole organization based around it with, PASIC and all that. But with hand patterns, there's a lot of it that's common, a little bit of it that's kind of unorthodox. But as far as building into linear fills, I'm going to start with 3 different patterns or 3 different ones you can build into. The way I structure these is I structure them based on fractions. It sounds confusing at first, but it's really not. When I say fractions, I look at the numerator and the denominator. Numerator is what you put on the hands, and the denominator is what you put on the feet.
3/2, 2, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and you can build combinations off of that. So let's go with one of the most, one of the first ones that's pretty obvious. 2/1. The bottom, bottom triplet or something like that. Something like. So I'm playing it just on snare and kick right off the bat. Pretty simple. What can you do with that? Well, take that same right-left kick, move it around the kit, like just as. Pretty simple. What do you do from there? That's kind of cool. Split it between the hands. Instead of doing, both hands on the snare, do one hand on the snare, one on the tom, and switch them around. Okay, cool. What do you do from there? You see, we're building upon this. So what do you do from there? Switch the hand sticking. So instead of right, left kick, try left, right kick, right kick. From there. So, cool. Now what do you do from that? Mix that around.
Yeah.
So, and it's one of the easiest ways to get into it, because what is a linear lick other than a line of notes? It's literally a line of notes within a pattern. What people are hearing... that's the first pattern. But we're not done. Use your credit card and you'll receipt. No, I'm kidding. So, and you'll get this right off the bat because we talked about counting. Instead of doing, right, left kick, which you can also put that is hand kick, put the kick drum in the middle. So now you have hand kick hand, or right kick left. Take the same principles we talked about earlier. Same thing. Okay, now do it again, except now start with the kick. kick, hand, hand,
Yeah.
kick, right, left, kick, left, one, 1, 2, from there. That's what you can do with just one pattern.
Yeah.
So now what's the other pattern? 2 over 2. Let's take it up a notch. 2 hands, 2 on the hands, 2 on the kick. For all you metal guys out there, you're probably familiar with it. So from there, take the same principle, move it around the kit, split it. From there, mix around the hand or mix the sticking, which I already did. From there, and then change up the pattern. So, and you can do this 4 ways, considering you have 4 strokes now. So instead of hand, hand, kick, kick, you can do kick, kick, hand, hand. You can do kick, hand, kick, kick, hand. Or kick, hand, hand, kick. So, and of course the other one being 4 over 2.
Well, I'll tell you, the one I watched a couple of years ago when I mildly got interested in linear was 3 over 2.
3 over, doing it in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, and I think it was that, you've probably seen him, the Building Blocks to Gospel Chops videos.
Jerome Garnett.
Yeah. He was doing the
one good thing Sultone brought us.
Yeah, really.
How dare you?
He kind of started like you know. Started with 1, and then he did 2 over 2. But then I to be honest with you, I didn't really. 2 over 2 doesn't sound that interesting to me. Probably because it's even.
Yeah.
2 over 1, but everybody does 2 over 1. But when he did 3 over 2, then I was like, oh, now that sounds cool, because it did build tension in the fill as to when it was going to end.
Yeah.
Because and I think he was doing like a lot of off the hi-hat,
Yeah.
That was cool when I heard him do that.
Yeah. So
And I'm not talking about the hi-hat, but just the fact that he was doing. Yeah. The 3 over 2 was really cool, I think mainly because it built tension.
I was gonna say I've got one that I can throw your way with the 5 with the 5. So with 3 over 2, try it as right, left, left, kick, kick. Wherever a bell is. So, and then the other one is do 4 over 1.
Yeah.
So. See, it is challenging.
I never really thought to even try 4 over 1.
So I know that one because I think how you say your name, Annika Niles.
Yeah.
She does that one a lot. Like it sounds like she's doing with 2 on the kick, but instead she's doing from there. So actually sounds really neat.
Yeah.
So but yeah. Any of the group 5 groupings, there's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do with it. The 4 over 1, one of the ones I like to do, and the sticking's kind of weird. I call it a double stroke sweep, which is you start with a flam, and then you bring the right hand over here, a right flam, and then you bring the right hand back, and then you do a double on the left. And then I think what would you call that? I've never known what that hand pattern is. I mean, I know what a flamadiddle is, but
Well, you started. I don't know if you started with the flam and just did the.
it's essentially a flam on top of a double stroke is
Yeah.
what it is. So what would we call that? A flamastroke? I wouldn't know.
I don't know.
But it's one of those that I've done a lot. One of my buddies, Michael Davila, out in Texas, he sort of started doing it. He would if I could reach one of the cymbals, but he would try it as a part of a groove. If I can pull it off well. But you can take that pattern and put a kick with it. So. And you can even keep that right hand on the drum. You can accent it. So, in a grouping of 5. So, a lot of this is a humongous left-hand workout, by the way. Yeah. But yeah, those linear groups of 5, like, you can take the same principle. 3/2. Yeah. Stuff like that. But the big thing is to woodshed these and challenge yourself with them to a metronome, as well as to any song or drumless track. That way you can become more comfortable with it, because yeah, you can take the risk with the band, and definitely should, but if you're not comfortable with it, then it's gonna trip you up a little bit. So it's just one of those things that's gonna take time, if you're not used to it, especially if you come from the rock and metal world, because rock and metal is so rigid. You're used to being in that box that rock puts you in, whereas a lot of this, it's a little bit more open. So, but it's so much fun. So,
holy good God, we're getting deep into this, dude. This is great. We're almost 2 hours deep. You guys got anything you want to shout out real quick before we get
I've got a few.
Yeah, go for it.
Obviously, thank you to my wife, Samantha, for always being supportive. Thank you to my mom, as well, for being supportive. Thank you to my dad, as I'm looking up to the sky. I don't know if you can see it. So thank you, Dad, for everything. Thank you to my whole family for being supportive. All my friends. Big thank you to Felix and Mike, both at D-Drum. Big thank you to Steph and Phil out at Los Cabos. It's an honor to be part of some really great families. So, and shout out to all the awesome bands and musicians I've got to play with, especially the one that was right next to me, literally not 5 seconds ago. So, and thank you, Phil, for having me out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for coming out. Holy crap, this has been fun as hell. Cameron, Alidor, you going places? Stephan, Bearded Drums,
also going places.
Well, it's always fun to hang out with you, man. Ever since the first time we met, it's always been, we've had only a couple of interactions, but it's always been fun. And I hate that we're not terribly far away, but just far enough away to I get to rarely see you. So it was very cool to come out.
Oh yeah, likewise, and it's always worth the trip. Always.
Cameron, you'll come back and do my podcast again someday.
Yes. Yes, right. Absolutely.
Thanks, Cameron. Thanks, Stephan. Stephan, you want to shout out your Bearded Drums?
Yeah, Bearded. We just, like I was talking to you earlier, we just started doing a live stream, myself and Jarrett. So we're doing those Thursdays at 6 p.m. On YouTube live, and then after that, they get uploaded to Apple Podcasts and Spotify for the regular audio-only podcasts.
We're all going to be millionaires one day.
One of these days.
We're all going to be millionaires one day. Thank you guys for watching. Drummer2Drummer in the books. Thanks, Cameron. Thanks, Steve.